that have happened recently. One is that a farmer's been put in jail for breaking tails, and then we've now got SAFE putting in huge advertisements in a Great Britain newspaper saying that blood all over the milk. Have we been driven, do you think, to sort of to the edge?
I think, Rob, firstly, we live in a different world now. You can't pick your nose in public if you're a politician. Someone's going to stick it on the web. You'll be being filmed. And so we live in a world where information is freely available and freely spread and easy to spread, and it doesn't necessarily have to be dealing with the essence, the accurate core of the thing. It can simply be an incident which is then made out to present an essence. Now, I mean, my knowledge of farmers, and I dealt with a lot of farmers over the years, I haven't met one yet that isn't concerned about his stock and that isn't concerned about the land that he or she is farming, right? And so I think that there will always be rogue elements, and there will always be a risk now that they will be presented as the core. And I think that's where groups like Federated Farmers now are going to have to be thinking. And I was watching the thing where the calves were maltreated, and I don't think in anyone's interpretation they were maltreated,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so
cowardly done by hidden cameras, but that's my opinion.
Well, look, I mean, yeah, and the tactics of how it was filmed and that's another conversation. But I also think, what makes a person who wouldn't normally do this do it anyway? Are they under a lot of pressure, or a lot of stress? Are they under economic pressure? The cost of labour in the meat industry is going down as the profits of the owners of those industries are going up. I mean, these are simple, real facts. And so, but the one that I think drives it all is the cost of land. I think that's the biggest threat to safe production of meat and milk, and to some extent wool in New Zealand, because as the cost of land's going up, it is forcing the producer to extract every last bit out of it, and that means that concern they have for the land has to be counterbalanced against the pressure coming from the bank. And if we don't rethink this question and come up with a better answer, it is going to continue in the food and creating problems with things like food intolerances, and it is going to drive families out of farming and move all farm ownership to the corporate sector. And then we will have lost any concern, because the corporate sector is only happening. Well, of course it's happening, and it's a creep that all of us who are concerned about farming don't like. You don't like it, do you?
No, I mean, because to me, I'm old-fashioned enough to say that, the family farm.
Exactly, but you see, there was a Victorianism in the old days that said, well, the sons stay on the farm and the daughters marry a farmer, and if she didn't, well, then she'll just have to go and do something else.
He will look after her.
And he'll look after her. Now, we now live in an environment, I think, where, and I think it's an appropriate environment, where succession planning has to be a lot more sophisticated than that. Where, if one son's going to stay on the farm and you've got two daughters and another son, well, he basically owns a quarter of a farm when it starts, and he's got to work out how to get the other 3/4 paid for at the market price. And I don't know the solution, but I think government, Federated Farmers, SAFE, anybody who's interested in it needs to get around the table, and they have to start talking about how do we stop the move to the corporate sector with land? How do we stop foreign ownership? How do we keep it so that people who care for stock and care for the farm, right, and care for the land and care for its long-term production are the people that are still running them in 100 years from now? Because if that doesn't happen, it will influence our food. And I'll tell you how. It's very simple. Breast milk, human breast milk, is the most environmentally responsive stuff you'll ever come across, right? If the mother is highly stressed, the hormones go out of her adrenal glands into the milk, into the baby. This does two things: stunts growth, right, and makes it a whinging pain in the bum. Now, if you think of the environment where the mother might be stressed, if you go back again, I'm always going back to us in the African savannah, right?
Yep, absolutely.
It would have been at a time when food was under challenge and when there was major threat, right? So a small baby doesn't require as much food. A small baby, right, a whingy baby doesn't get lost and unnoticed. So you see, it's in our biology to reflect our environment and our food. Now, if you stress a cow, that same stuff goes into those same hormones that affect a human baby are there to affect the calf, but of course they affect us. Now, if we want to keep people in our market, we shouldn't forget about volume, work out how to make the best quality top-end product. And that does mean things like you do seriously have to think about, have my cows got shelter? Are my cows stressed? All of that. Now, if you've got the bank on the other hand going, I don't care about that, you have to pay me this much in a month or we'll foreclose on you. Because we know banks, they're good people and they really care. Right? And Santa Claus will come on the 25th
John,
to 6 billion people.
Thank you very much indeed. Straight after the break, we've got our special On the Land program about mental health.